Hello and welcome to the Game Lore Archives. Today we're going to be talking about the Bretons. The Bretons are a race of men who live in High Rock and are descended from the Dwemer who inhabited the area. At the time, the elves had human slaves and decided to have carnal relations with them. The idea behind this was that they wanted to create a new race with their superior blood at the core and strong human body on the outside. This led to a race of half-elf, half-humans who had traits of each within them, which is why they were originally called Manmer, and also known as the mongrel race of Tamriel. It's also said that they have descended from the Druids of Gallion. Nothing more said about the Druids, but I presume they were elves who impregnated female human captives as part of some kind of ritual.
Their elven blood is heavily diluted, so physically they have a very human appearance. They have the pale skin of the Nords, but are not as hardy. Some do still have the tipped ears and sharp features of their elven inheritance. In fact, this caused an issue when the Nords first found them, as the Nords hunting party thought they were a new race of elves, and only stopped killing them when the eldest cried out in Nordic language. Although the outward appearance is half-elf and half-human, their blood is rich in the magical power that was mixed into the race. They feel an overwhelming urge to study intellectual pursuits such as spellcrafting, enchanting and alchemy. Even the most unlearned Breton can boast powerful magics that come second nature to the race.
They live in the province of High Rock in the northwest of Tamriel. It has borders with Skyrim and Hammerfell and is only one of two provinces in Tamriel that does not have a border with Cyrodiil. It is known for its small villages with old forts dotted around the hills which used to belong to lords and kings who owned a patchwork of land. There's always fighting between these small kingdoms.
For example, there were two hamlets that went to war, but there was no clear winner, and each year each side celebrates its self-proclaimed victory, and when both sides meet, it erupts into another small-scale war.
When the Aedrics ruled, the Bretons were seen as second-class citizens and coexisted with the Aedrics for much of the First Era when they were first bred into existence. This also meant that any Bretons who lived in Skyrim during the Night of Tears were actually spared. The Skyrim conquest brought much of High Rock under the control of the Nords, though they would soon lose control during Skyrim's War of Succession. When the Alessian Order waged war on the Dureni, it weakened the elven grip on High Rock, and the Bretons rose up and took control of the area. Now it's a patchwork of small kingdoms fighting for power, united only in language and culture. They have a mixed religion, mostly following the 8 divines and the 3 elven gods, Magnus, Aethra and Finaster. Also Shor, who is unique to the Bretons, but most scholars believe that he is an offshoot of Shor, the Nordic deity.
The Bretons live in a hierarchical society, in which most are either middle-class citizens or poor beggars. There are a few lords in the land, but there are no powerful ruling class, and there is a constant struggle for power. Even among the lower classes, there is a fight to be noticed as lords will frequently shower their favourites with gifts, favours, and often promotion. The easiest way to earn fame is through adventuring. Among the young, there is almost an adventure fever. Their riches gained from adventuring and artefacts found mean they can become quite powerful. They often use their powerful magic and keen knowledge to plunder the richest places. Their call to adventure means they have travelled all over most of northern Tamriel, but they have reached the rest of the continent as well.
To the other races, they are often light-hearted and humorous, and they are often valuable allies due to their innate magical power. However, they do not work well with the Redguard. This stems from the vicious War of Bettany. This started because Lord Mogreth of Bettany asked King Lysandus of Daggerfall for protection from pirates. King Camoran of Sentinel decided due to some old paperwork Bettany was his and then declared war. The war only ended after Gothfrid, Lysandus' son, who took the throne after his father died in battle, defeated Camoran in single battle. Sentinel surrendered and Bettany fell under the control of Daggerfall.
Another problem that High Rock has had to deal with is that of the Reachmen. They are also known as the Witchmen of High Rock. The Reach is an area that overlaps High Rock and Skyrim. This area became unstable due to the expansion of Skyrim's borders and the shrinking of them as well. This land was eventually claimed by the Reachmen in around the year 500 of the First Era. They purged all traces of elven culture they could and moved into the Dwemer city of Markoth when the Dwemer vanished.
Their bloody way of life is demonstrated in the way they became involved with the siege of Orsinium. The Winterborn clan allied themselves with the enemies of the Orcs and were under the command of General Mercedine. She became the commander when her mother, who was in charge at the time, refused to kill the civilians of a village. Her daughter challenged her there and then, killed her, cut out her heart, and ate it. She then filled the villagers with arrows and decorated her altar to Malkuth with her mother. Don't think it stops there. She then captured the brother of one of the Orc heroes from the siege of Orsinium. The hero's name was Baloth. She then organised a fight between Baloth and a Redguard hero from the other side called Shinji. Mercedine convinced Shinji to fight because if he did not, she would make his friend fight for him. As he wanted to protect his friend and didn't want this to happen, he offered to fight instead. She then told Baloth the Orc that his brother was dead, so that he was manipulated to fight as well. Once both Baloth and Shinji were ready to fight, she ordered them both to be shot down with archers. Shinji's friend only found out about the plan moments too late and unable to stop it from happening. However, he did manage to kill Mercedine.
Well, she sounds really friendly.
Yeah, she was lovely.
Reachmen ruled over the Reach for many years after the events until the Empress Hestra invaded to bring the 10 Reachmen clans to order. However, it is said that it would be the Red Eagle would be the man to bring order to the Reach. Hestra pushed into the Reach and conquered each of the tribes until only the Sundered Hills remained. The Red Eagle mounted a counterattack after sacrificing his humanity to a Hackraven to become the first ever Briarheart. He pushed out the Empire, but they soon came back with an even bigger army and crushed the Reach and pushed it back into Empire rule. Then, in the Second Era, Raymond Cyrodiil split the Reach between High Rock and Skyrim. This helped to stabilise the area, but it took almost constant intervention from the armies of Solitude and Evermore to keep the displacing Reachmen in check. Tussles over the Reach happen all the way up to the Fourth Era, in which the Dragonborn has to put down the Forsworn uprising, who are trying to liberate the Reach.
One of the things that's been much less turbulent is the Breton holidays. One of the oldest holidays that persists is the Waking Day, in which the spirits of nature are roused after the winter months. It brings the warmth in the spring. There's also a holiday for when the nights get longer, and it's imaginatively known as the Moon Festival for the goddess Secunda. They also have celebrations for some of the emperors, such as Tiber Septim, and they also have a mock celebration for the mad Emperor Plagueis, as the Bretons say that it was High Rock which drove him mad. I just love the idea that they actually have a mock holiday for emperors. We should have a mock holiday for PMs. That'd be amazing. And that wraps up the Bretons. All the good things and all the bad things of human and elf ancestors all mixed into one. They're petty and small-minded, but with some of the most expansive knowledge in magic and the largest aspirations to find fame. Make sure you check out the rest of our episodes in the Elder Scroll playlist, our other playlists, and subscribe if you like what we do.